However, we do have, let's see, 5 racers in this one, including Bobski, DK9146, and Smashy. So a collection of veteran racers who have done good work on the circuit in a recent time. But we're underway here already. You see Diabetes II there on the left-hand side of your screen, picking up the Stones of Sunlight and a magic key. So we've got a 2-key start here. We'll bring you up to speed as we move along. This Wednesday Weekly is being run on the alpha version of the randomizer. That means there are several different things that might possibly happen here, such as the fact that Erdrick's armor can be in a chest. It used to be confined to the 3 search spots, one in Coal, one in the Overworld, and one in Hawksnest, but now the armor can be located in a chest. In addition to that, some key items, including Erdrick's sword, the Stones of Sunlight, and the Silver Harp could possibly be located on a search spot as well, but as you see in the Tantagel Treasury, through the use of these 2 keys, the Silver Harp is in fact in the Tantagel Treasury as well, so 2 key items located in Tantagel, as well as a gold chest here in the Treasury. Diabetes has just taken one of those gold chests and has opted to head out into the Overworld, whereas Ryguy looks like he took a couple there. The gold grind is available, but neither of them have opted to gold grind blind here. So they're just going to head out and see what they can do. Actually, Ryguy's opted to reset, and Diabetes has as well, and he's going to go all the way back to the start and get his key back in addition to that. Some starting stats here. That strength is not good. That's starting strength of 4. That's the lowest possible value. You see it flashing kind of orange there on your tracker very ominously. Not a good sign. The agility is 12, not terrible. Hit points and MP, no spells. So this could be a difficult start, depending on the opening enemy set. Ryguy's going to head out and try to find a shop, presumably for that money that he's got saved up. But zones other than Zone 0 or Zone 1 close by, this Wyvern takes him out in one shot. And we'll see what our racers decide to do here, whether they're going to head back to the Treasury to try to get some gold and take it out and try to find a town, or if they're going to try to make do with a difficult starting situation coming out of that swamp with only 7 hit points. So, challenging start here for our 2 racers on stream. Just to give you a quick rundown, if you're not as familiar with Dragon Warrior Randomizer, our objective in this game, as it was in Vanilla Dragon Warrior, is to defeat the Dragon Lord. And in order to do that, our racers have to collect some key items. They have to collect the Erdrick's token, and the Silver Harp and the Stones of Sunlight. The Silver Harp will be traded for the Staff of Rain. Those 3 items together will combine to create the Rainbow Drop, which can be used to access the Dragon Lord's stronghold, Charlotte Castle. Along the way, they'll also need to pick up Erdrick's armor, as well as possibly Erdrick's sword, but that'll come a little bit later on. As I was talking about here in the alpha version of the randomizer, some of those key items can be shuffled into the search spots, but we know that the stones and the harp are already in Tantagel Castle if you're just joining us. And we see here a little bit of divergence. Ryguy has opted to forego that gold chest in the treasury and hang on to his key. He's going to try to fight some red slimes instead, and has picked off 2 so far to get himself 1 experience point short of the necessary experience for level 2. Whereas Diabetes has decided to go to the entire opposite end of the spectrum here. He's going to try to take a full gold grind here, probably save this up afterward, forego his key, and see if he can't find his way to a town somewhere to try to pick up some equipment. Ryguy has found this critical 3rd red slime here, so long as he manages to finish it off. Not expressly a guarantee, although he's likely to do so on 7 hit points. Only will need 1 more damage to get this done, but the red slime, the attack is not guaranteed to hit because of their low attack power, but here he does get the job done. This will take Ryguy to level 2. So we'll get a peek at the statistics. 1 power, not much help, 4 speed, 20 hit points, 3 magic points, and the spells of Hurt and Repel. So this is actually pretty big here. A nice HP boost to increase that survivability, and the spell of Hurt will enable our players to take out most of these Zone 1 enemies in one shot. I didn't quite see what happened there, but Diabetes had ground in excess of 30,000 gold pieces and ended up resetting. I think he's actually going back now. Did he save? I'm not even sure what's happening. I was too locked in on Ryguy's screen to see what happened there, but if he started a second file, yeah, that's what it was. I thought this might be the case. So he started a second file after saving up that gold, so he can check the basement. So this is really interesting. The Rainbow Drop Cave located in the basement, often affectionately or perhaps not so affectionately referred to as the Jerk. That's the guy you need to give your key items to in order to get the Rainbow Drop. And if you don't have Erdrick's token, he'll boot you out of the cave, so that's where the nickname comes from. But here we go, Ryguy has defeated a magician. He's on his way to level 3. And Diabetes has also ground up a bunch of torches. Another feature of the alpha version of the randomizer, and one of the flags that our racers are using tonight, is the ability, such as can be found in the remakes of this game, that you can use torches as weapons in battle. So Diabetes deployed that to great effect there, taking out a Magidrake with a torch or 2. And so he's going to pick up level 2 and be deeply gratified to find the Hurt spell, so that'll abet his damage dealing greatly. Ryguy, meanwhile, has taken out another Magidrake and is on his way to level 4, so we'll get our first look at this level. 7 speed, 10 hit points, 2 magic points, and another new spell, this time it's Return. That spell will send a racer back to the castle from anywhere that's not inside a dungeon. You need the outside spell to get outside of a dungeon first before you can use that. But Ryguy looks like he's going to set off now and start some exploration, as Diabetes continues his torch chucking here to try to pick up another level before he needs to take a death to recover his resources. So a very interesting start here. There's a lot of different ways to play this, and we've seen just about all of them deployed in these opening 7 minutes here as the racers that we have on stream have tried to decide exactly what the optimal way is to try to get this done. And what it comes down to is you just kind of have to pick a route and go with it, and we've seen a lot of different interesting ways to approach this start so far in the early going. Really interesting here on Diabetes' side, he has these torches. Even though he's out of magic points and can't cast Hurt anymore, he can still fling those at this Magidrake, and he's taken it out. So he's going to be able to pick up level 4 before he needs to take a Death Warp here. So far we haven't seen any locations, no towns, no caves. Ryguy has at least found a zone with a Metal Scorpion, so that's a big chunk of experience there, just about doubled his current experience standing, as he closes in on a first cave. We'll get a look at this. Couple of bonks, and then he headed to the right and is now going up. This looks like Mountain Cave, and there are monsters. So sometimes that opening resembles Erdrick's Cave or the Tablet Cave, but since he was able to go up there and encountered a green dragon, which is going to send him back home, we know that first cave that we've seen on the map is the Mountain Cave. Nothing doing on this trip for Ryguy, though. One would assume he's going to try to head straight back. So right now, actually, Ryguy seems to be sitting down in this zone where he saw a Metal Scorpion earlier. That's an extremely lucrative enemy when you have the Hurt spell and not much else going for you. You might even be able to take out a Metal Scorpion in 1 hurt, although it's somewhat infrequent. Usually it'll take 2, but with the hit points that he's got, that's plenty to take another one out. If you can find one, that is. And this Star Wyvern has popped up a couple times. It has the Weak Breath, and it's strong enough that it can take out a level 4 racer with 45 HP and a modicum of defense pretty quickly. So Ryguy will get sent back, and it looks like Diabetes is actually on 78 experience now, so he's stuck around in Zone 0, and he's done some pretty good work there to manage to get back up toward the experience lead, which has traded hands a couple of times on stream here so far. But right here, it looks like our runners will just about simultaneously pick up level 5. Diabetes is going to be the first one there, though, taking out that ghost to get the exact total he needs. 2 power, 1 speed, 15 more hit points, 5 magic points, and another spell. This time it's Radiant. So that spell will light up a dungeon for a meager 2 magic points, obviating the need for torches if our racers need them at all. We know Ryguy at least was going to attempt Mountain Cave in the dark. So many racers can do that, but the Radiant spell can be very useful when it comes to navigating your way through a dungeon. Diabetes looks like he's going to restore his magic here. This NPC that he's talking to right now will give you all of your MP back. And so he's going to try to go back out into the world. He's only taken 1 death since that opening gold grind, so he still has a substantial sum of money on his person. And it looks like he's probably going to try to get that someplace so he can spend a little bit of it. Or is he? No, I think he's going to stick around here in Zone 1. Yeah, this is a pretty safe grind so far. We haven't seen many dangerous enemies. The regular slimes have hurt, but that's mostly inconsequential. You're not going to want to fight them anyway. And they do have 19 defense points. Those 19 defense points mean that a lot of Zone 0, actually all of the Zone 0 enemies, will be defense broken at this point. So as long as they don't have any spells or abilities, they're not going to be doing much damage. It's a very safe grind, and that's probably what Diabetes is most looking for right now, because he's going to want to try to hang on to that gold if he possibly can. The problem is there's no healing available yet, so he's got kind of a countdown on how long he can hold on to that gold unless he picks up a healing spell. Meanwhile, Ryguy built up enough gold that he was able to open the back door of Tantagel, buy some magic keys for himself, and then open the treasury. So he's latched back onto the harp again after having left it behind at the beginning of the game in favor of keeping that key, and that's the reason you'd want to do that. So you can build up enough gold and do a full key buy and access the treasury and get everything you need out of it. He too discovers that the Rainbow Drop Cave is in the basement of Tantagel, and so that's all he needs to see there. He's going to head back out. We'll see if he goes back toward that grind zone where he saw the Metal Scorpion, or if he's going to make his way towards Swamp Cave. Either way, he's low on resources, and so this could be a short trip in either event. Diabetes opting to remain here in the Zone 0, Zone 1 area, and it does look like Ryguy is going to try at least a hero walk, we'll say, of the Mountain Cave. Gets 1 step in, hits a slime, no big deal. But we know there are green dragons in here. 5 enemy slots exist in each zone. So we know that there are green dragons in the first floor of Mountain Cave, we know that there are slimes in the first floor of Mountain Cave, but we haven't seen anything else yet to sort of assess the difficulty this might be. Got a Drakey there for a 3rd enemy in the zone. The first Mountain Cave chest is a torch. The enemy zone will change when Ryguy goes down this staircase. So we'll get a look here. There are 4 chests on this floor, any one of which could have a critical item, or maybe just a cursed belt. Ooh, fortunate there to run away from that wizard. The agility is decent at 39. But picks up an herb in the Fighter's Ring here. The herb, of course, can be used for healing. The Fighter's Ring will give you 2 additional attack power. So that'll bump him up all the way to the lofty heights of 12. I haven't really mentioned it since the start, but they had the lowest possible strength start on 4, and it's only gone up 6 points in the 4 intervening levels on the way to 5. Ryguy's locked in combat with a metal slime. It will not run away because his strength is less than 20. But really quickly, Diabetes hitting level 6, 1592 on that level, so not a great one, no additional spells. But as long as Ryguy can survive here, he will take out this metal slime, and he will pick up about 200% of his current experience, the metal slime is worth the maximum 255. So as long as he manages to land enough blows here, it's roughly a coin flip situation whether or not he's going to hit this metal slime on any given swing. So this should be doable given that the metal slime is only doing 1 to 2 damage to him. And he takes it out. So all of a sudden now, that's a really big experience gain for Ryguy. He's going to go all the way up to level 7, so this is 2 levels in 1. Without being able to parse it, those levels actually were not that great. 2 levels in 1 and still only 2 strength. Now the HP has climbed its way all the way up to 74, but everything else is absolutely abysmal. 22 MP. Agility is actually kind of okay for this level. 44 is fine, but strength of 12 is about as low as you will see it on level 7. It's really... The runners are probably not thinking about it too much at this point because most of their work is being done with hurt anyway, but the strength is just absolute garbage there. As you see Rai taking a look at his status screen, probably lamenting that particular statistics gains to this point. Now, Ryguy here, it looks like he's going to try to take a Death Warp, or was he? He did run away from that wizard. This is kind of interesting. Was that just... I'm not sure. He's walking back and forth here. Oh, he's going to try to find another metal slime while his... Yeah, he's going to try to fish for another metal slime here while his strength is still below the threshold at which the metal slime will run. So, there we go. This is probably a really good play, as long as you don't get sniped by a wizard. There doesn't look like there's anything else on this floor that could possibly kill him. There is a gold man, so this would do the job if it sticks around, but so far he's had pretty good run luck from the enemies that would be potentially lethal. Still no luck on that metal slime, though. Meanwhile, Diabetes has been grinding the old-fashioned way. Has found a zone that has some Drakeemas and some other optimal enemies. Yes, there is a Wolf Lord in that zone too on Ryguy's side. But right now, Diabetes has picked up some experience fighting what looks to be some Poltergeists, as well as some Drakeemas. But here, Ryguy's luck runs out. Tried to run twice from a wizard, couldn't get it done, so his chances of finding another metal slime. We'll see if he decides to go back. This is actually pretty lucrative, and if he can get back there with more of his HP intact, that just increases his chances that he'll be able to land one of those while trying to dodge through the other enemies. But it looks like he is actually heading off in another direction. So he's abandoned that particular pursuit and is going to go this way. Now it's interesting, he's run into a wizard here. It's possible this could actually be the same zone as is located in Mountain Cave. And there could be more metal slimes around. In fact, that gold man just about confirms it. So there could be more metal slimes in this area as he walks back and forth. I'm sure he's aware of this, but now he's on his way exploring again. Meanwhile, Diabetes has recovered his magic, and it looks like he's going to go save what gold he's managed to stash away since his opening gold grind. He's got about 8,600 there. That would be good for, say, a suit of magic armor or an assortment of other lower-priced equipment. Could pick up a broadsword and a full plate pretty easily, as well as a large shield for that sum, and that's a pretty good effort there with the money remaining. So there's a lot of things he can do with that if he manages to find a town, but based on the exploration we've seen so far from both of our racers, there doesn't seem to be much around. Mountain Cave is the only location we've actually laid eyes on to this point. So this is going to be kind of tricky. What will our runners decide to do from here? Is it sensible to sit down and grind? Should you go look for more metal slimes if you're Ryguy? How long will Diabetes continue to try to find a place to spend his gold? These are all decisions that will have a big impact here. And Ryguy, it looks like he's made up his mind. He's going to head back into Mountain Cave, and he's assuredly headed back for that second zone to try to pick up another metal slime before his strength climbs out of that range at which the metal slimes will begin to run. Or I should say into that range at which metal slimes will begin to run. This is the first time I think that we've seen a Druin Lord on the top floor of Mountain Cave, and this isn't a bad enemy. You can easily hurt race this when you're at full HP at their current level, and this is worth about 50 experience. So that's a good chunk picked up right there. The next level, level 8, is attained at 600 total experience, and Rai does land a Metal Slime. So he's got 21 HP, and he stands a very good chance of taking this out, so that we'll see level 8 here. If you're just joining us, welcome aboard. We've got a Wednesday weekly Dragon Warrior Randomizer race for you here. I don't think I ever did the introductions. Simbu9 is our race streamer. We have on the tracking Kamion Renkai, and I'm Archfield Monk. We've got 2 racers here on stream. I'm going to update that in a second, but Ryguy has picked up level 8, 3 power, 13 speed, 3 hit points, and 11 magic points. Still no new spells, so there's not a lot going on there on that level. Ryguy is going to stop by this chest to pick up another herb, and since his strength is still only 15 on level 8, he's going to continue on the metal hunt. So Ryguy picks up that Metal Slime. He's now sitting on 967 experience points. That's a mere 8 experience points away from the next level, but this Wolf Lord is going to take him out before he gets a chance to attain it. We'll see if he just decides to go try to take on a Magician or something to pick up this level before he starts exploring again. You can basically pick it up incidentally at this point. Now the interesting thing is here, I think Ryguy might be well served to actually avoid picking up the level, because if level 9 by some miracle actually boosts him above 20 strength, then that means the Metal Slimes could start running away. So what he probably wants to do is avoid taking level 9 until he finds another Metal Slime, and that way he can grab a chunk of experience essentially hassle-free. Diabetes by some... yeah, by some miracle. We'll see if there's actually a strength gain in this seed, or if we're just going to be looking to defeat the Dragon Lord exclusively by using as many Fairy Waters as possible. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Diabetes has taken 1 death. Since last we checked in, he is getting closer to level 7, but we know level 7 is not much benefit. Here comes level 9 for Ryguy. He did take out another Metal Slime. Power of 10! Oh my goodness. The strength is nearly doubled. 7 agility, looked like 6 MP there, but no new hit points, if I read that correctly. So now Ryguy is in a range at which the Metal Slimes can run away. And as a direct consequence, he may opt to leave here. He is going to take the Death Warp from this wizard. So now the Metal Slime well is basically dry, and he's probably going to be forced into some exploration here without healing, and with a lot of swamps around. This is not exactly an optimal start. Our racers do have 2 quest items already. The Stones of Sunlight were located in the throne room, if you're just joining us. And the Silver Harp was in the Tantagel Treasury. It was a double key start, so the racers at least have that going for them. But really, all things considered, this is not a great start. We could be in for the long haul in this one, because the next couple levels are a little bit trickier to attain. Just on, it's interesting to note though, the agility score is pretty good at level 9. 64 agility means they have decent run chances and at least a modicum of defense, 32 without any equipment, which isn't too bad. At 32 defense, you're breaking a fair number of enemies. all the way down through warlocks. So a lot of the things that you would like to take out when you're trying to pick up 200 or 300 experience are still things that you can fight very reasonably with a hurt spell. So, not too bad, but not much to say in terms of exploration at this point. Only Mountain Cave has been seen, and Ryguy is the only one who's been able to clear that to this point. He managed to grind up a couple of herbs on his way through there, but unfortunately this peninsula is sort of to the east coast, and to the north is through swamp and entirely empty. So he'll be disappointed to see that. But both of our players are still trudging on toward their next experience levels, trying to make some headway in this seed. And it looks like it's just going to be a little bit of a slog here in the early going. I say early going. We're now 25 minutes in, and not much progress to speak of. At minimum, if you're looking for the silver lining amongst what has been a lot of clouds so far for this start, the enemy sets haven't proven especially difficult. There is a green dragon in the top zone of Mountain Cave, and there's some star wyvern hanging around the entrance to the Mountain Cave. But everything else has been fairly tame. The enemies that they have seen haven't had abilities. There is enough hit points that you can damage race a lot of stuff with a hurt spell. And we've seen things like Droll Magi and Druid Lords, and even Wolf Lords could possibly be taken out with a hurt spell. You'll spend a lot of your HP doing it, so it's kind of a toss-up what you want to look at. These Druids have hurt more, so they're not a fantastic target. Barai's going to finish this one off anyway, as Diabetes uses one of his torches to make his way into the basement, but he's immediately taken out by that wizard. So one would expect he'd head back, and we'll see. It's interesting. If he finds another metal slime down there in the bottom floor of Mountain Cave, if he'll decide to do the same thing that Ryguy did, and try to pick up some more of those. This zone in which Ryguy is currently fighting is the same zone that is in the basement of Mountain Cave. It's that metal slime, Wolf Lord, Goldman, slime zone. I think there was one more. Oh, the wizard, yes, is also in that zone. So an interesting zone if you decided you still wanted to fight some metal slimes and didn't want to go all the way to the basement to do that of the Mountain Cave. I think for the first time now, Diabetes running into a metal slime. He's going to be probably encouraged to see this, but also maybe a little disappointed. It took him almost 28 minutes to find one, and he knows that he's in a really good position here to take advantage of this specific combat. Just to elaborate in case I didn't quite make it clear earlier, the metal slimes will not run away if your strength total is below 20. So right now, even on level 8 at that 15 strength, yeah, you see it right now, Diabetes is just continuing to walk back and forth in this zone. He wants to pick up another metal very desperately. At minimum, a couple here so he can reach level 9. And we know that's the level at which the metal grind becomes suboptimal, because they can start to run away. Ryguy's still doing some exploration. He's locked in a hurt duel with a Wolf Lord right now. Again, one of these enemies that doesn't have any specific, very dangerous abilities, does have a heal spell. That's going to mean you really can't fight it. You can't beat a healing enemy in a hurt race. So the Wolf Lord's off the table, and he's just going to have to continue going along here, finally making his way through some swamp to the southeast of where Start is located. This Warlock, additionally a good enemy, just trying to focus on some of the macro elements of this, the micro elements, I should say, of this right now, because there's so much going on that's really just sort of, you have to be very tactically proficient to navigate this kind of start, and I think both racers have done actually an admirable job so far. Ryguy, finding those metals earlier, was able to take advantage of it sooner, but you see Diabetes essentially taking the same tack here, trying to find those metal slimes. So they're doing about as well as they could, given the circumstances. Ryguy here coming across a cave. He's going to enter and Radiant, and it turns out to be the Grave of Garen. So there are 5 chests available here, 3 on the top floor. And the interesting thing... Oh my goodness, critical dodge for that metal slime! Oh wow, what an unfortunate turn there. So that happens not very often, but Erdrick's armor located in the first chest of the grave, a huge find for Rygai. So that is worth 28 defense points. It's the strongest armor in the game in that regard. In addition, every step you take recovers 1 hit point, which is critical in a seed in which you don't have any healing. He is going to take out this Metal Slime too, so a double bonus here as we get to see level 10 for Rygai here on the top floor of Mountain Cave. 4 power, 2 speed, 6 hit points, 3 magic, and a new spell. He's got Heal More. So finally some healing for our runners. And the third chest here will be some gold, but really the critical thing to come out of this Erdrick's armor, just to elaborate on that a little bit further. This also nullifies all damage from damage tiles, so things like swamp and barrier tiles will no longer affect anybody wearing Erdrick's armor, such as Rygai is. And in addition to that, it's going to cut by 1/3 any damage from breath or hurt. Breath attacks or hurt spells. So Rygai, since he's in the grave, he's going to go ahead and dive toward the remaining 2 chests. There's one on each of the next couple floors here. Diabetes also picking up level 9 simultaneously. But he has spent his keys. So he's in a situation here where if... thinking about that at the same time as I did there, Lorgon. If Rimuldar isn't nearby, he's going to be hurting for keys unless he finds one here. I did miss the 4th grave chest just now. What did Rygai pick up there? Anything consequential? Cursed Belt. Cursed Belt in 4th chest of grave. So there's one left. Rygai now in very good shape with the Heal More spell. Not a lot of MP to speak of, and the strength is still, I think, qualifiedly terrible. But with Erdrick's armor, that just gives you so much latitude to move around. The heal walking is great for a seed specifically like this one, where you don't have the little heal spell, and you don't have a lot of MP to speak about. So that healing for the heal walking for the armor is immense, not to mention the defense and everything else that goes with it. Diabetes now is going to try to dive the rest of Mountain Cave. He wasn't able to make any headway on the last floor last time as Rygai approaches the final chest here at Mountain Cave. It's a fairy water. So nothing else important there, but I will take this opportunity to mention, since I didn't get an opportunity to do so earlier, since we're playing on the alpha version of the randomizer, our racers are playing on a flag. We saw Diabetes using the torches earlier as weapons, and the fairy water can also be used as a weapon. It will do the same damage range as the hurt spell, 8 to 16 damage, except it does not obey hurt resistance, except when it comes to the metal slimes. It's still a coin flip to hit a metal slime, so you can't cheese those. Sorry, folks. However, if you get a critical hit, it doesn't matter. Rygai takes out another metal slime. This time, no critical dodge. That one went down. And Rygai grows ever closer to level 11. Target number for that, 2175. Meanwhile, Diabetes chipping his way through the mountain cave here, puts on the Fighter's Ring, having acquired that in the 3rd chest. So this is, or the 4th chest, depending on your order. And he's going to make his way to the last chest as well. Oops, all metals. I love it, Pyromance. Oh, we finally got a town! Hey, look! Rygai enters Recanary. Oh. Well, at least he'll get a chance to top off here and possibly check the shop. He does have enough money that he could possibly buy a large shield at this point. Has some other options available too. A weapon would go a long way for doing some more damage here. Got a flame sword, got a full plate, a small shield, and a silver shield, so everything's either kinda weak or way too expensive. Opted not to buy the chainmail there, but did get the small shield. So the small shield's worth 4 defense. It's not a lot, but with Erdrick's armor and a pretty good agility score, that's good for 65 defense points. breaking a lot of stuff there. Oh, that's right. Yes, of course he didn't buy the champion. He has Erdrick's armor. See, it's a good thing I'm not playing the Cedar. I would have just sold it. Unfortunately, with no weapon and only the hurt spell, the Wolf Lord is no more defeatable now than it was earlier. So he's going to have to opt out of that one. Diabetes now, that starting gold that he had amassed has trickled away. He's sitting on around 650, and he's now on level 9, so he's abandoned the Metal Slime hopes. I think he did manage to get another one earlier, but really just trying to farm them isn't especially efficient. If you find some along the journey, then all the better. Ryguy closing in on another cave here, and this is a dark cave, so I believe this would have to be either Swamp Cave or Tablet Cave, and in fact it is Swamp South, so he can use the outside spell to transit through quickly, and he's going to head due south and run straight into a town. This is Cantlin. There are 3 shops available, so he's probably going to take a look around for some equipment. Might also opt to get the coordinates at this point. Copper Sword, worth 10 attack power, will be his purchase at this first shop. That'll get him all the way to 41 attack power. Ooh boy. Fighter's Ring tacking on 2 additional there. Coordinates for the overworld search spot: 37 south, 27 to the west. This seems like it would be very tricky to count. Due south of Chantigel Castle, there's a bit of a stream there running across. You have to go all the way east and then south and back to the west again. So, difficult to say whether or not you'd actually want to try to count that out. It's probably doable, but whether or not it's worth the hassle remains to be seen. We haven't actually seen much of the map to this point. Cantlin here, located immediately outside Swamp Cave. And I believe Diabetes has come across the grave here. Yes, he has. So he's going to get his armor as well, and acquire all of the concomitant benefits thereof. Wow, that was a dumb sentence, and I regret saying it. Diabetes, however, has the opportunity here. Unfortunately, unlike Ryguy, he used his opening key, so he's not going to be able to dive bottom 2 chests. We know there's nothing there, so it's actually going to save him a little bit of exploration to not have to worry about that. Ryguy picking up the Dragon Scale at the second item shop there in Cantlin. That's worth 2 defense, so that'll bump him up to 67. I didn't get a good look at that weapon shop, but obviously Ryguy didn't think there was anything of value in it, so he's not going to buy anything at the second shop. He'll take a look at the third. And kind of a lot of the same. A lot of very weak equipment, and then a bunch of stuff that's not affordable. Not that he'd want magic armor at this point anyway. So we're about 40 minutes in here. Not a lot of exploration in the books. It's been a difficult seed to this point. You can tell by the fact that Ryguy is still using the hurt spells to do more damage than he would attacking at level 10. That is not an optimal situation. However, over here on Diabetes' side of the screen, I believe this is a town we are seeing for the first time. This appears to be southeast of the grave location, and it is Hawksness, so Diabetes is just going to nope right out of there. There's nothing he could possibly hope to beat at this point. So he's just going to skip Hawksness. Hawksness is a ruined town. There's only one thing of value there, a search spot that is guarded by a tile boss. And those enemies are all Charlock tier enemies that, when you're just sitting on 25 strength and the hurt spell, there's nothing doing on that one. Both racers on stream continuing to use that hurt spell to chip away at some mid-tier enemies. Those Druid Lords are excellent targets, especially now that they are defense broken. You can tell here, Ragai attacking with his 41 attack against the Spectre. He's out of magic points, so he's just going to take a protracted struggle against this early mid-game enemy to try to pick up his level, because he's very close, and he will get it, so we're going to see level 11 incoming for Ragai. 2 power, 10 hit points, 5 magic. That's all. So we've got a lot of hit points here on level 11, 93. That's a good total. The 66 agility is nothing to sneeze at either. But the MP and the strength remain relatively poor. The strength is not even relatively poor. It's just bad. To put it in perspective here, with Erdrick's sword, the most powerful sword in the game, Ragai right now would still have only 71 attack power. Well pointed out, Lorgon. 41 minutes in, 31 strength. I have seen larger strength starts than that. Right now, Diabetes, picking up level 10. We know this level is kinda meh, except for the fact that Healmore's there. Ragai has located coal, so there is a shop here. He's going to take a look at that, and he's certainly going to look at the search spot. He's, I think, very distressed to not have found a large shield to this point. Search tile is Erdrick's token. Of course, here in the alpha version, that could be Erdrick's sword on that search spot, but nothing doing there. He does have all 3 items that he needs for the Rainbow Drop, with the exception that he now must find the Staff of Rain Cave and trade the harp for it. But it looks like this peninsula that he's found is going to be a terminus here. Coal is located at the entrance to it. And Diabetes just dodges narrowly the Erdrick's armor sell. He was just about to buy whatever armor that was in Breckenary and noped out of that transaction fortuitously. Picks up a small shield, though, again worth 4 defense. So our runners are on equal footing in terms of that equipment, at least. Ragai has the copper sword, so that he's at a whopping 43 attack power total on level 11. But other than that, Ragai has a substantive experience point lead, just about 700 experience more than Diabetes at this point. And so that's about the story at this juncture. Once Diabetes finds coal, he'll be able to pick up that token as well pretty quickly. So the exploration is on roughly equal footing. Diabetes here in Breckenary also picking up the Dragon Scale, so that's worth an additional 2 defense. I believe that's the first time we've seen heal from this Druid Lord. I think Ragai had been taking those out with regularity with a hurt spell earlier. But unfortunately, like the Wolf Lord, it turns out it also has heal. It's difficult to race enemies with a hurt spell when they also have heal. They're basically going to counter every hurt that you cast with that heal spell, and you won't be able to make any headway unless they happen to not roll that chance of heal. I do believe we see Hawksness on Ragai's screen. This is the first time that he will have spotted it. and if he makes it there, it'll be interesting to see whether or not he decides to check out the spike. And that was a one-tile walk and then a nope. So that answered that question in a hurry. Of course, not much you can do there. With this much MP, if you had a pile of MP, you could maybe go in and try to hurt an Axe Knight to death and just heal more when you needed to, but that's about the best you could hope for, without the hurt more spell or, 50 more strength. So we haven't seen the Hawksness Spike yet. Still a fair number of chests out there in the overworld. We've got a lot of the singlets. For instance, the Tablet Cave chest is out there, the Stones of Sunlight freebie chest is out there, the Remulder chest is still out there. However, we have seen, through Ragai's exploration of Grave, all of the chests from Mountain Cave and Grave, and we of course have seen the Treasury because we had a double key start. So the only chests that are remaining in the overworld are those single chests and the 3 chests in the back of Garanham. Ragai here has found, to the west of Hawksness, the Staff of Rain Cave, so he's going to get to trade his Silver Harp, and he will be the first racer on stream to have acquired all 3 necessary components for the Rainbow Drop. And we do know that the Rainbow Drop Cave is in the basement of Tangential Castle, so he can take care of that errand whenever he feels like it. It doesn't even need to be now. If he's going to try to stay in the field and explore, then he might opt to wait on that till later. Finding out that the Druid possesses the Diet Wombo combo, the Sleep Hurt More there. And because the enemy sets have been a little bit less kind to Ragai here, Diabetes is actually making up a little bit of the ground when it comes to the experience totals. He got 1740 to Ragai's 2256, so that's only about a 500 experience points deficit. It had been about at a maximum of 800 or so earlier. So a little bit of catching up being done here by Diabetes, and I think we see a town to the northeast. Which town is that? This might be Remulder, which would be a great find for... Oh no, it's Breckenary. I didn't actually see it on screen before. I got everybody's hopes up for no reason, although you all out there probably knew that that was Breckenary in the first place. Ragai, on the other hand, has found Garanham, and is going to upgrade his Copper Sword to a Hand Axe. 5 additional attack power will still not get him into the 50s. On 48 with a Hand Axe, 31 strength on level 11. I should not laugh, because if you've played it all, we've all been there. We've had a seed where you're sitting in the middle levels already and your strength just isn't getting there. So we'll get a look at the Garanham chest for the first time. That was either an herb or a key. This one is a torch. And the final chest is a gold chest. So, if Erdrick's sword is sitting in the overworld somewhere, it's going to be in one of those single chests I mentioned earlier, either Tablet Cave, one of Tablet Cave, Stones of Sunlight Cave, or Erdrick's Cave, which I believe is what Ragai has just landed upon by process of elimination. It's the last dark cave remaining. There are no enemies in here, so he'll just pop that Radiant spell and make his way to the single chest at the end. No quest items remain, so this is really just taking a shot at finding either the Death Necklace or Erdrick's Sword, but it is becoming increasingly likely, since that Erdrick's Cave chest is just a gold chest, it is becoming much more likely that the sword and or the Death Necklace will be located inside Tarlok Castle itself. Diabetes now acquiring his Staff of Rain. He has not yet found coal, so he doesn't have his final Rainbow Drop component just yet in Erdrick's Totem. But as soon as he makes his way there, he can pick that up really easily, and he'll be in an equal quest item footing with Ragai. Finds, I think this is the first time at least I've seen a Rogue Scorpion, and if there was ever an enemy that you had damage broken, that you wanted to run a hurt race against with a lot of HP, this would be it. So Rogue Scorpions are great for this. They only have 30 to 40 hit points, so you can take them out in 3 to 4 hurts tops. And they're not doing any damage to him right now because he's got 67 defense. So more Rogue Scorpions would definitely be welcome for Diabetes. You know what's not welcome? A a Dragon Lord 2-Breath Golem. Gets run blocked once, and that's it. Goodness. Meanwhile, on Rygai's screen, we do have the Big C, Charlotte Castle. And we've got a town to the northeast of it. I don't believe we've seen this town. We'll wait to see if Rygai proves me wrong again. But if this is a town that we haven't seen before, it is at this point guaranteed to be Remolder. There was a small hesitation there before Rygai swung at this Warlock, and I think he was genuinely trying to figure out whether or not Hurt would still do more damage at this stage. When you're still trying to make that calculation this late into the game, the statistics have gone upside down. And there, I think that was an immediate menu to the large shield. I think Rygai's been desperately looking for that. Because he's already full cleared Mountain Cave in the Grave, he'd have to go out of his way to do a gold grind for a silver shield. So I'm guessing he was just really desperately looking for that large shield so that he didn't have to go to that length. Remolder chest is just a fairy water, so now we've only got one more chest sitting out there somewhere. The Stones of Sunlight Cave is out there all by its lonesome on some place on the world map. But now there's a 7 in 8 chance that Erdrick's sword is going to be in Charlotte Castle. So this will create an interesting dilemma. Not many good grinds available when you've got terrible strength and just the hurt spell. So do you fish for the next level and hurt more? Or are you going to try to do something else? Only 47 MP, so even trying to dive Charlock, trying to get the sword at this point, is very challenging. So to answer our restreamer Sim9's question, the search tile and Hawksness have a chance for sword. Yes, it does. I actually forgot about that. My mental calculus hasn't quite switched all the way over to the alpha version yet, so thank you for pointing that out. It is possible that the Hawksness search spot could have Erdrick's sword. It could also have the Death Necklace. So it's possible that one of those key items would be there. And since the HP has been the only statistic that has really been climbing steadily, it would probably be worth it to have the Death Necklace as well. So certainly once either of our runners actually gets to a point where they could conceivably fight that spike tile, it looks like Diabetes is going to be the first racer on stream to take a run at this tile. But yeah, if this is a blue dragon, so this is really just kind of not doable. He's going to take a run at it anyway with the hurt spell. Blue dragons have a 7 out of 16 hurt resistance, so it's a little bit better than a coin flip, but you're only doing about 12 average damage pop. Oh, Rygai just hit the Stones of Sunlight Cave and I completely missed it. It's too focused on this epic hurt fight against the blue dragon in Hawksness. Oh, but the blue dragon has a small percentage chance, it looks like, of a Dragon Lord breath. So a cursed belt there. Thank you, Camion Renikai, our tracker, thankfully providing that information. Cursed belt in the Stones of Sunlight Cave, so that clears everything except for the Hawksness search spot. And Diabetes now facing a very uphill battle with this Dragon Lord 2-Breath blue dragon. I don't know quite how much damage he's done, but it wasn't enough. So that was a valiant effort, and actually an interesting decision to try that, and if the blue dragon hadn't had Dragon Lord 2-Breath, that might actually have been doable on the amount of MPs he had. He was getting some pretty good rolls there. So he would need, you know, to land hurt probably 4 or 5 more times on average. But still an interesting decision to go after it. Definitely, he might feel as though he's behind at this point and would take a crack at that just to see whether or not he could pull Erdrick's sword, perhaps. That would have been very beneficial. But yeah, those Dragon Lord 2 breaths just ate up his resources too quickly. And it looks like Ryguy has gone back into Mountain Cave. I assume that he's going to try to take a Death Warp here and go for that Silver Shield after all. And I think he wants it just so he can be in range to defense break as much as he possibly can. Because the attack power certainly has not come along. Possibly, there's of course some better weaponry on the board as well. So for instance, he could be grinding for a... would probably go for a Flame Sword. We've seen that in a couple of locations already. Sugar Frosted, to answer your question, yes, it did look like Ryguy cast Repel inside. I think, well, in the alpha version of the randomizer, there is a flag that allows Repel to work in dungeons. However, that flag I do not believe is active for this seed. So he might have been thinking about it in that regard, and just didn't realize that the flag wasn't on. I didn't actually, I'll have to look back at the flag set to confirm that, but he is going to get, it looks like, his preferred Death Warp here against the Wizard. It's the one enemy on this bottom floor. If he's looking for a Death Warp against a Wizard, then the Repel would conceivably, if the flag were activated, get rid of all the enemies that he didn't want to see. And exclude everything except for the one enemy that could kill him. So that would expedite the Death Warp, theoretically. So Ryguy is going straight for the treasury, going to grind gold here ostensibly for a Silver Shield and a Flame Sword. However, I think he took the gold chest for... oh no, there is another gold chest. Phew! Okay. So he's going to get his gold grind. Diabetes, meanwhile, has picked off a Metal Slime, so he now sits at level 11 as well, and has continued to close the experience points gap here. He's now within about 300 of Ryguy. So we have a really interesting race on our hands. Diabetes, at this point, really desperately needs to find Remolder. In this 2-key start, he opted to spend his key early, and so he doesn't actually have any other keys right at the moment. It's barred access to the lower floors of Grave, and without those keys, he's not going to be able to get to the Rainbow Drop Cave either, not going to be able to open a couple of the other chests that are accessible, potentially accessible to him, and he's not going to be able to gold grind until he gets those keys back either, so even if he wanted to pick up some better equipment, he's not enabled to do that until he can find Remolder and get those keys. Ryguy has finished his gold grind. If you're not familiar with this process, Dragon Warrior Randomizer, at the time it was programmed, had some limitations on what could and couldn't be done. And so a maximum of 8 chests can be placed into the game's memory at any given time. If you open a bunch of chests in a cave and then take a death, for instance, like Ryguy did, and you'll end up back in the throne room. And depending on how many chests you opened, and then plus the 3 chests that will be activated by going back into the throne room, since there are 3 there at the beginning of the game thinks they're kind of sort of still there. You can then go into the treasury, and any chest you open after that 8th chest will just continue to regenerate indefinitely and give you multiple copies of whatever happens to be in there, as long as it's something that's grindable. In this case, Ryguy took that to his advantage to get some gold, and in addition to that, he also headed to the basement and he's picked up his Rainbow Drop, so he is the first racer here on stream to pick up that key item. We know that there are 2 search spots remaining. We've got our search spot in Hawksnest. That seems barred for a long period of time, even with superior equipment because of that Dragon Lord 2 Breath Blue Dragon. But there's also a search spot that was given to us by those coordinates you see there on the on-screen trackers, south 37, west 27. Not too far away, but also because you have to kind of go around this body of water here that Rygai is currently passing. It's not exactly an easy count. So he's bypassed that for the time being. Meanwhile, Diabetes has come upon Cole for the first time, and he's going to pick up Erdrick's token on its search spot. Rygai purchasing his Flame Sword and his Silver Shield. So the Flame Sword is worth 28 attack power, the Silver Shield worth 20 defense. And so that'll bump his statistics, attack power and defense power, up to 61 and 83 respectively. Again, worthwhile to point out at this juncture that the strength total is terrible. Really, really terrible. So we're now about an hour in, both racers on stream at level 11. We had a double key start and some interesting decisions to make at the opening. Started with the minimum possible strength at 4 strength, and it has gotten not much better since then. As you can see, over the past 10 levels, our racers have picked up a grand total of 27 strength. So Rygai right now looks like he's headed toward Hawksness. He hasn't seen the tile yet, so he's going to be somewhat disappointed, I think, to find the Dragonlord 2-Breath Blue Dragon there, with not much resources to speak of. That 47 MP gives our racers a maximum possible total of 5 Healmore casts, and Rygai, by using that hurt against the Magiwyvern, has actually cost himself one of his Healmores, so he's going to be operating merely on 4 Healmores going into this fight, should he be able to retain them all. So this is an interesting fight. We'll put it that way. Raigai's damage range on 61 attack power here would be about 4 to 9. So it's not really doable in melee, and once he sees the Dragonlord Breath, he actually just abandons all hope and decides to take the death. Probably the prudent decision. However, he's got 2,800 experience, the next level, 12, as at 3,000. And Rygai, based on the way that he started walking out of Tantagel Castle right here, it looks like he's going to try to count out these coordinates. Diabetes, meanwhile, it's really interesting. Some of these later game enemies, like the Star Wyvern, a Charlock tier enemy, when they have an ability like Weak Breath and you've got the armor, this is an enemy that you can take out with some hurt casts. It's going to take a little while, but it's worth about 100 experience points. So this is going to narrow that gap even a little further for Diabetes. This will jump him all the way up to 2791, so the experience differential now is essentially negligible, both on about equal footing here as they close in on level 12. This has been a really interesting race in the way it's developed. Very divergent strategies in the opening. But really, again, the roadblock here, Diabetes is going to need those keys at some point if he wants to do a gold grind, and he's got to find Remolder in order to do it. We know it's over there close to Charlock Castle, and he's not spotted that yet. So this will be key. Meanwhile, Rygai has come to a spot here where it looks like he's got his search tile, and it's the Death Necklace. Okay, so that's one fewer key item. If you're not familiar with the Death Necklace, the Death Necklace will give you plus 10 attack power in exchange for 25% of your maximum hit points. So it's an item that you can use in the endgame if you have, say, in most cases, around 128 hit points or better. You can use that to pick up 10 extra attack power without sacrificing too much. That was a great count there by Rygai, by the way. Picked up his checkpoint there right outside that bridge and then just walked straight to the tile and knew exactly where it was. gets rewarded with his death necklace for it, and should the HP totals continue to climb and the strength totals remain abysmal, then he's definitely going to want that death necklace in the late game. Diabetes now continuing to do some hurt grinding against these Star Wyvern. If he gets this one, he'll be a mere 40 or so experience points away from the next level. So both racers rapidly closing in now on level 12. Could there be something important there? Maybe a hurt more spell? Maybe, I don't know, any strength at all? We'll be finding out pretty soon. Diabetes right now, taking on a Wyvern. This is enough to give him the levels, so level 12 for the first time. We'll see it right here. 4 power, 3 speed, 13 hit points, 22 magic points. So that's important. Another hit point boost. Got a big MP boost right there. But the strength hardly budged, only 4 additional strength. Surely both runners will be disappointed to see that strength total not really move the needle. Ryguy is taking on this wizard. Something of a slog with just the flame sword on this attack power, but he's going to pick up his level 12 as well. So things are very close here. The only thing really separating these runners is that Ryguy had kept his keys and has the rainbow drop as a consequence. He also was able to pick up the death necklace. But right now it looks like a game that's going to come down to who figures out how to grind a little bit more efficiently against these mid-game enemies that they're actually able to beat. There's such a limited range at this point. Ryguy has the additional advantage that he was able to do that gold grind because he had those keys. And with the flame sword and the silver shield, you would think that gives him the edge here. He's got 65 attack power to Diabetes' 47, and he's got 84 defense, which breaks essentially all enemies that aren't in kind of your middle and upper Charlock tier. So he's able to take on a lot of enemies in hand-to-hand combat that he would not be able to otherwise on such a low attack power total. Ryguy seems to have found a zone that he likes here. There are some golems. He's been running away from those. As we discovered earlier, they, like the blue dragons, have Dragonlord 2 Breath, so that's at minimum 2 enemies in Charlock that have the most powerful attack in the game. But these wizards seem to be his primary target. It's not doing a ton of damage against them on 65 attack power, but the wizards are defense broken, so they aren't doing too much damage to him either. At least nothing that can't be easily compensated for with the Heal More spell. And at 120 experience points per fight, per successful fight, I don't know that you could really do too much better than this at this juncture. Simbu, to answer your question, has Diabetes found keys? No, he has not. To the best of my recollection, there were no keys available in any of the overworld chests that we've seen. And so his chance to find keys would be finding Remulder. The other remaining objective, as you had just pointed out, is that Diabetes has not found Charlock either, and both Charlock and Remulder are in close proximity to each other, so if he finds one, he will find the other. And that will, if you will pardon the mostly unintentional pun, unlock a lot of things for him in this seed if you can find it. It looks like Diabetes is actually headed toward the Swamp Spike tile, so we're going to get our first look at this. It's an Armored Knight. if Diabetes goes all the way down to the end of his resources, it is theoretically possible... I spoke too soon. This Armored Knight spike, much like the Blue Dragon spike tile in Hawksness, the Armored Knight has Dragonlord 2 Breath as well. That's not great. The Armored Knight, one of the two most difficult enemies to run away from, so when it comes to Charlock, that's bad business. Anytime one of those enemies, in addition to the Red Dragon, has Dragonlord 2 Breath, you hate to see that. But even beyond that, that means that both grind tiles, the Hawksness tile and the Swamp tile, are occupied by enemies that have Dragonlord 2 Breath. So that makes the end game, in addition to this middle game grind choice that you have to come down to, that means your kind of middle to end game grind choices are also just really difficult. So very interesting decisions will be forthcoming here as we move forward. An hour, 10 minutes into this one, to basically give you the recap of the seed. The strength is terrible. And yeah, the strength is really terrible. Did I mention the strength was terrible? In addition to the strength being terrible, by a process of elimination, Erdrick's sword, the most powerful sword in the game, is either in Charlock Castle, potentially blocked by a lot of Dragonlord 2 Breath enemies, or on the search tile in Hawksness, which itself is blocked by a Dragonlord 2 Breath enemy. If you want it in really stark terms, as Lorgon has pointed out, they're averaging about 1 strength every 2 minutes. Vuvits, we did in fact find Garenham. There was not much there. I believe it was an herb chest, some gold, and either a fairy water or a torch. I did not actually write that one down. Ryguy here, by merit of the fact that he's been able to sit down on what is a reasonable grind zone, has now expanded that experience point lead back out to about 700. He's closing in on level 13, which will come at 4125 experience. This wizard will in fact do it, so we'll get to see level 13 for the first time. 2 more power, who knew? 8 speed, 18 hit points, 4 magic, and a new spell. It's sleep. That's not nothing, but it's kinda close to nothing at this stage of the game. However, that hit point total has climbed all the way up to 124, so we're basically guaranteed at this point that the Death Necklace will come into play. And given that our strength is 37 on level 13, one would think that it's definitely going to come into play, but even with the Death Necklace, they still need so much more strength to be Dragonlord 2 viable at this point, that it's probably not even worth talking about. We are still very far away from having the statistics we would need in order to make an attempt at Charlock Castle. So Ryguy is going to remain in the zone, and it's probably one of the best things he could do. He's got some Metal Slime opportunities here. He's got the wizards. There's, as far as grind enemies go, the zone isn't too terrible. The golems are easy to run from. So he's got that going for him. But really this is just, like I said earlier, kind of a matter of optimizing this middle to late game grind now, with all of the obstacles that they have due to this low strength and no hurt more spell as of level 13. That will have to show up at some point in the next 3 levels, but if it's tucked away on 15 or 16, it's going to require a lot of experience points to get there, so that's not necessarily an opportunity for relief from the current difficult grind situations. That is a really interesting question, Lorgon. Since the overworld was the Death Necklace, can you grind the overworld spot for gold? I hadn't actually considered that to this point. There's a lot of sort of intricacies of the way that the alpha version works, that since it hasn't been played a lot in race situations to this point, that I'm not quite sure about yet. That's actually a really interesting question, and I would be... if I can't find the answer by the end of the seed by talking with some people, then I'm definitely going to check it out and let everybody know on Discord. By the way, if you haven't checked out the Discord yet, I'm going to find the link for that. So the thing is DWR command, he said out loud to everybody, as though somebody else would know. Well, if it's not going to work, we'll just do it ourselves. There in chat for you is the link to the Dragon Warrior Randomizer Discord. If you're interested in finding out more, there are lots and lots of friendly people there who can help you out. You can always feel free to ask questions there. You can always feel free to ask questions here in chat. Plenty of people who are very knowledgeable about the game probably ask somebody other than me, because I'm not as knowledgeable as some people who are hanging out right now. But anything that I can do to answer questions, please feel free to ask here, or you can hop over to the Discord or ask in chat. Very friendly community and always willing to help out. So Raigai now has, I believe, 9 wizards to go until the next level. If he manages to pick off a metal slime here, oh look, Diabetes has found Charlock, which means Remulder is not far away. This will set him on the path to getting some much needed gold if he so chooses. Raigai did take care of that metal slime, so that accelerated his process a little bit in this crit against the wizard. Will probably help as well. Has very quickly made his way up to about 5,000 experience. The target number for the next level, pardon me, level 14, is 5,625 experience. So only a couple of wizards, Magiwyvern inclusive, will get him the rest of the way there. Diabetes on his way to Remulder, and he's got plenty of money, so he'll be able to get his keys and check that chest. The Dragon Lord's finest mid-game enemies are doing their best to prevent him from accessing Remulder, but it looks like he has plenty of healing and should be able to make it away from this Magiwyvern, or finish off this Magiwyvern and get into town. Subu, our streamer, pointing out at least no sleep so far this seed. That's a really good point. As challenging as the seed has been on account of the statistics, most of the mid-game enemies have been very tame. You find some heal spells here and there for the Wolf Lord and the Druid Lord, but everything else, no dangerous abilities to speak of. So that's been in our racer's benefit at the very least. Diabetes has made his way into Remulder, and so he's going to pick up his keys. He'll head right back out and then right back in, presumably to check this chest, which we know is a bust, but he's also going to check out the weapon shop. He's still hunting for some equipment here. He's dealing with a hand axe and a small shield currently. I believe he's going to opt to pick up a large shield here, and he does. So this fairy water in the Remolder chest, not quite what Diabetes was looking for. We already knew, and he was disappointed to find out, I'm sure. But now we'll have to wait and see what he decides to do next. He's got a couple of chests at the bottom of Grave he could possibly search. He's got a couple of other caves that he still needs to find, and he also hasn't found Garenham yet. Erdrick's cave, or the Tablet Cave, was in the back of Garenham, so if he finds that, he'll have 4 more chests that also are disappointing. Meanwhile, Ryguy has continued his grind against these Magiwyvern and Wizards. So he's growing ever closer to the next level. This wizard won't quite get him there, but it will require only one more encounter against those enemies he's been grinding in order to get him the rest of the way across the line to 14. He's going to try to get this level against the Metal Slime, not having too much luck so far. Here comes level 14 for Ryguy. 7 power. That's one of the biggest strength increases we've seen so far, if not the biggest. 3 agility, 5 hit points. I believe 4 magic points. So not a huge level, but it's better than some of the ones we've seen to this point. Ryguy doesn't even really think about it, just decides to stay in this zone with his increased attack power. He'll be a little bit more fortunate against these wizards. Diabetes has located the Stones of Sunlight Cave. The free chest is a cursed belt. So all of these single chests have proven basically entirely worthless. We're looking for the sword now. We know it either has to be in Hawksness or in Charlock. Of course, the odds say that it's more likely to be in Charlock. But it's going to be a little while yet until we have enough juice for both of these racers in order to take out that Dragonlord 2-Breath blue dragon that is guarding the Hawksness spike tile. So it looks like a little bit more grinding in our future here. Interesting choices to be made. Ryguy has been in this zone for at least the last 10 minutes, picking up a couple of levels here against some wizards and some Magiwyvern. Diabetes, still having some exploration to do, has been making his way around the map trying to find the remaining locations that he needed to find, including Remolder. And in that interim, because Ryguy has been able to dedicate himself exclusively to a reasonable grind, has expanded his experience points lead to almost 2,000. That's a very good point, Simbu. Diving for Erdrick's sword when your strength is low is sometimes an interesting and plausible plan. But in this case, without having seen Charlock yet, we know that there are at least 3 Dragonlord 2-Breath enemies, those being the Blue Dragon, the Armored Knight, which is difficult to run away from, and the Golem. We haven't seen many of the enemies that occupied Charlock to this point. We have, to this point of the seed, no Jinx, have seen no Red Dragons, we have seen maybe 1 or 2 Axe Knights, and we haven't seen any werewolves yet either. So there's still some mystery out there regarding what we could possibly be in for in the Charlock enemy set, but to this point it's looking a little worse than average. Alright, so for the first time this seed, an hour 24 minutes in, Diabetes is going to get a look. He's not even going to bother with the shop or the inn. He's just going to head straight for these 3 chests, hoping desperately, likely, to find Erdrick's sword here. We unfortunately know that it's merely a torch and either an herb or a key, and I believe some gold. So no joy to be found here. Further in the depths, in the basement beneath Garenham, is the Tablet Cave, which likewise just has a gold chest, if I recall correctly. In any event, it's nothing that he's going to want to see, but it will have eliminated, I believe, the remaining possibilities. So he knows that he needs his search spots. He will know shortly that he'll need his search spots. And he has not, I take that back, he has not actually yet seen the bottom 2 of Grave yet. So it's possible that Diabetes would make a play on those 2 chests as well, before eventually probably coming to the same conclusion as Ryguy has, that you're just going to have to sit down and grind here, because there's really not much else to do about it. Meanwhile, it appears Ryguy, either in frustration or elsewise, chucked a torch at that metal slime and then crit it. So that was a fun sequence. He is now approaching level 15, which will arrive at 7,500 total experience. So just a little ways to go here. Diabetes returns to Tangential Castle, will pick up his Rainbow Drop now as well, and he's probably going to head back out. It'll be interesting to see what his next play is. He could, as I said, head back toward the grave and dive those bottom 2 chests. Those are really the only overworld chests left to him, so the decision from here, he's got a couple of different ways he could go. He could attempt Charlock if he so chose to try to get down to the treasury. It looks like, though, that he's going to head toward Mountain Cave, and I would assume the play here would be similar to the way Ryguy did it, where he'd dive Mountain Cave, pick up some chests, and then do a gold grind so that he could upgrade his hand axe, upgrade from his hand axe and his large shield. Oh, no, I take that back. He took 1 tile toward the Mountain Cave and then opted out. Ryguy now going to the fairy water against the metal slime to no avail. Torches and fairy water against the metal slimes, still just coin flips, so it's basically the same as attacking. And when I say basically, I mean exactly. CD Improv, rating. Welcome everybody from CD's channel. Welcome CD, thank you very much for the raid. You've landed yourselves smack in the middle of a race, about an hour and a half in which our racers have some of the worst strength totals that you might possibly ever hope not to see. Ryguy sitting on level 14, closing in on 15 with 44 strength. Not great. Oh yes, one thing that I forgot to point out is being mentioned in chat right now. We do have a lot of different icons available for use in the Dragon Warrior Randomizer. Diabetes II has landed on the Final Fantasy I Master Sprite, and Ryguy is using his usual sprite, Healy from Dragon Warrior 4. So here it would appear as though Diabetes has grabbed the top 3 chests and is probably going to dive bottom 2 in Grave, and then likely will gold grind out of that. He does still need to see these 2 chests. We know there's nothing there, but he's got to make his checks regardless. Meanwhile, Ryguy is just 4 experience points away from level 15, so we'll be able to see that level soon, and for his sake, one would hope that it's the Hurtmore level. All spells are guaranteed to be learned by level 16, so Hurtmore, Heal, and Stop spell will show up at some point before then. This Warlock, though a weak enemy, will do the trick, and we get level 15 for Ryguy. 15 power! Could it be true? And the Hurtmore spell. Alright, so now, an hour and a half into the seed, we are finally in business. That said, the strength is still relatively poor. We're going to need at least a couple more levels, one would assume, in order to get to a Dragon Lord ready state in terms of strength. 130 hit points does mean that the Death Necklace will be available for use, and the agility is reasonable. 90 defense, fully geared. So it looks like Ryguy is actually going to check this tile, which is interesting. He's low on resources. Or maybe he's just going straight through. We'll see in a moment. I shouldn't speculate in all likelihood. Diabetes has cleared the 4th chest in Grave, so he's on his way to the lowest reaches right as we speak. Ryguy is indeed heading toward the Swamp Spike tile, and he's going to be as disappointed as Diabetes was, one assumes, to discover that this Armored Knight has Dragon Lord 2 Breath. So for those of you just joining us, there are 2 spike tiles in the overworld, one in Hawk's Nest, one in the Swamp Cave. The Hawk's Nest tile is occupied by a blue dragon, which has Dragon Lord 2 Breath, and the Swamp tile is occupied by an Armored Knight, that also has Dragon Lord 2 Breath. So have fun with that, everybody. Archfield's glad he didn't race this one. Don't know why I just referred to myself in the 3rd person. That's really cheesy, and I apologize. I'm glad you... Camion and Simbu, thank you both, my restream crew, supporting me here by making me look just slightly less dumb. So, Diabetes has closed out the grave. He's just walking back and forth here in the basement, presumably looking for a death warp. We'll see what Ryguy decides to do. He's got his full resources back now, so it's possible he could go to Hawk's Nest and try to double hurt more of this blue dragon. He definitely has the resources to do it now, and he's got plenty of HP and enough MP to make that happen. So Ryguy is going to head in. This will be the only search spot or chest that we have not yet seen if he manages to clear this blue dragon, other than the chests in Charlotte Castle. So here we go. Time for the Hurtmore and Healmore race against this blue dragon. Stands a very good chance of getting this done right here. But we'll see what happens as Diabetes begins his gold grind, try to upgrade some of his gear. So there he goes. Took out the blue dragon. The search spot is the Fairy Flute. Because of course it is. So now we are guaranteed to have an Erdrick Sword Charlock Castle. And from this point, Raigai could opt to dive looking for that sword. It would give him a boost of 12 attack power over the flame sword that he currently possesses. He has headed back into Swamp Cave and cast Radiance, so it actually looks like here he's probably going to go try to grind this Armored Knight. Or... yeah, he's probably going to go try to grind this Armored Knight. I am going to take a moment here. We do have, in the Dragon Warrior Randomizer community, a League event coming up. I'm going to get the link to that, as Raigai commences his grind against this Armored Knight, and Diabetes has finished his gold grind. This seems like a good opportunity to put a plug-in for this event, starting at the beginning of February. So in case anybody is interested, that's the link to the Google Doc that gives you all the details for the February League. You can of course find out more information about this, as well as all kinds of other information about the Dragon Warrior Randomizer, not only this one, but also the randomizers that exist for Dragon Warrior 2, 3, and 4, at the Dragon Warrior Randomizer Discord. Which would have been a better segue if I'd actually queued up the link first. Way to go, man. There we go. So the Dragon Warrior Randomizer Discord, just pretend the segue went beautifully. And I was competent. I realize it's a stretch sometimes, but, you know, you just gotta kinda roll with it. I got the thumbs up, Mario. That's really all I needed to make myself feel better. Raigai looks like he's gearing up. He's buying a torch, and he's gonna fill his herbs if he hasn't already. He's buying another torch. So it's possible that he's gonna make his way into Charlock Castle here. If I had to guess based on this pattern, that's probably what we're likely to see, is a Charlock dive looking for that sword from Raigai. He tried out that Dragon Lord 2 Breath Armored Knight. Oh, never mind, he's going back. I should really stop speculating. Diabetes, meanwhile, looks like he has designs to try out this blue dragon. It's a difficult fight, but possibly doable on full resources. He's going to be doing 6 to 12 damage against the blue dragon on the spike tile. So, we'll see if he manages to pull this out as he approaches the Hawksness spike. And interesting, Diabetes actually opting to go for the Hurt spell here. It does do a greater damage range, but it's only guaranteed to hit about a little bit better than a coin flip at the time, so it's probably about evens with his physical attack at this point. Raigai, meanwhile, the Hurtmore grind proving reasonably effective against this Armored Knight. He's only got about 500 experience to go, less than that now that he's taken this one out. Sitting on just about 9,400. The next level, 16, is at 9,750. So looking for some better statistics gains than we've seen to this juncture of the seed. Diabetes still trying to take out this blue dragon, which has heal. We hadn't seen that to this point because we hadn't gotten this deep into a fight at the point at which a healing spell would trigger yet. Ryguy took out his blue dragon by using a couple of Hurtmores, and that one didn't quite come into play. It looks like a low percentage heal chance, though. So he's going to stick it out, and he lands a crit, and that's going to take it out. Whew, oh boy. Big critical hit there. Unfortunately, it's just for the Fairy Flute, but now, more importantly, Diabetes has that information. He, like Ryguy, knows that the Erdrick Sword has to be in Charlock Castle. Ryguy has picked up level 16. Power of 20, that's where it was hiding all this time. 1 speed, 10 hit points, 4 magic points. All spells now have been acquired. And Ryguy, as you see there, taking a long look at his statistics screen, trying to decide his next move. With Erdrick's Sword, he'd be sitting on 121 attack power, and then with the Death Necklace on top of that, he'd be sitting on 131 attack power. So this is pretty close. Probably doesn't quite have the magic points that he'd want to see yet in order to make this happen. On 81 magic, he's got 10 heal mores. You'd have to be hoping that the battle goes really, really well, and you're not going to get a double with the Death Necklace on, so he's probably going to take one more level here. However, we'll see where he decides to do that. It looks like he's going back towards Swamp Cave, so we'll get a beat on that in a moment. Ryguy is heading back to that Armored Knight Spike tile. So he does think he needs one more level. Very likely that he would need one more level. And Charlock Castle itself, depending on the enemy zone, since we haven't seen anything there yet, no scouting dives to this point, the enemy zones could prove to be mild, or they could prove to be very difficult. If there's lots of Armored Knights around, that could be a very resource-intensive dive, since they have one of the best chances to run block you, and they also have that Dragon Lord 2 Breath. So could be a resource-intensive dive, could be a difficult dive, we'll have to wait and see. Oh, some good information coming in here from Gulf in response to a question we'd had earlier. The Death Necklace now in this alpha version of the Randomizer can be on an overworld search spot, or any of the search spots. And in this particular case, the Death Necklace was on the overworld search tile. So he's done some testing, Gulf has, and has discovered that yes, once you've picked up the Death Necklace, you can go ahead and grind that search spot for gold. Once you pick up the Death Necklace, if it's in a chest or on a search spot, anytime you try to collect it after that, it will only exist once, anytime you try to pick it up after that, you'll grab 120 gold every time. So it's a slow grind, but it is something that could work in the right circumstances. Meanwhile, Diabetes here has opted to head into Charlock Castle. So he's presumably making a sword dive here, and we're going to get our first look at the enemy sets in Charlock. The good news is that a lot of, well, I won't say a lot. The good news is that some enemies in Charlock Castle, such as this werewolf that Diabetes is currently fighting, are defense broken on 88 defense. So depending on how these zones work out, we'll get to see a little bit better of an idea what this might take to get to the basement and fight the Dragon Lord. And that'll give us an idea of what sort of statistics we might possibly want in order to complete the game. Charlock could end up being the truer boss here. There is an Armored Knight in Zone 1, and that was one of the things we really just did not want to see for the sake of our racers, and certainly that our racers themselves did not want to see. Zone 1 has the most tiles to traverse, so it's got some of the most danger when those difficult enemies are located inside. You just got to make it to this next staircase, though, and you might be in some safer territory, depending on how the enemy distributions shake out. Ryguy had finished out his resources. He went ahead and took a Death Warp, and he's going to head back to his grind. Might try to take this Golem on the way, and he is. Golems, two, of course, have Dragonlord 2 Breath, or one of 3 Charlock enemies that we know of, including the Armor Knight and the Blue Dragon, that have Dragonlord 2 Breath. Part of the reason that this Charlock seems like it might be a little more difficult than usual. Diabetes has opted to fight his way down against the enemies he can actually fight, of course. And he's taking on this werewolf, and once he takes it out, he's going to have level 14, just barely clearing that hurdle. This one, of course, the 7 power one, in presaging the larger strength gains that are to come, but still sitting only on 44 strength at level 14. So he's not going to be thrilled to see that level, but at least still making progress as he makes his way down Charlock into the second zone. I believe this is the first Stone Man we see. Oh, and he's been back attacked and slept. And hold your breath there for a second when you see it's breathing fire, but it's only fortuitously the weak breath. Yikes. This Stone Man can still be dangerous, casting that sleep, but wow, that'll, if you're making that dive, that'll make your heart stick in your throat. And now back attacked by a Blue Dragon, and gets immediately Dragonlord 2 Breathed. Does manage to get away, so Zone 2 not looking especially kind, and now a Golem back attack. That's 3 straight back attacks for Diabetes. Very unfortunate there. That Golem fortunately didn't use the breath on the first turn, but he's going to continue to make his way through this zone. Meanwhile, Ryguy just one more Armored Knight away from the next level, level 17. So we'll see some simultaneous things happen here as Diabetes makes his way into the final zone of Charlock Castle. We see a Golem, we see a Werewolf. So far, not so bad. So level 17, now incoming for Ryguy. Will this be the level is the question. Power of 5. So that means we're looking at 136 with the Death Necklace. He does have what he needs at this point. The question is, can he get to the Dragonlord without using some of the resources that he'll need the rest of the way? Speaking of, we're getting our first look at the Charlock Treasury here. Diabetes pulling a magic key, a dragon scale, which he already has. So now I've got to go through some menuing to pull some of this stuff. So our quest for Erdrick's Sword still interrupted here by some encounters. We won't quite get a look at these chests until Diabetes has dispatched this Star Wyvern. Another magic key, so that's where all the magic keys in the chests were hiding, at least. Erdrick's Sword in the topmost chest. So Diabetes first on stream to lay his hands on the best sword in the game, and it's telling that on level 14 with Erdrick's sword, Diabetes still only has 86 attack power. So Raigai is in position here to make his dive and attempt to defeat the Dragon Lord. He's going to heal up here in Garenham and make his way there. The good news is that on 142 HP, that mitigates some of the risk of the dive itself. So with full herbs and a couple of spare heal mores, he's going to want to try to save as much of those resources as possible. We still, after all, don't know what's on the Charlock Spike tile. But he'll be looking to try to conserve as much in terms of resources as possible on his way down, even though he knows for the Dragon Lord 2 fight, he's got a little bit of spare magic. So interestingly enough here, as Raigai commences his Charlock dive, Diabetes has opted to head toward the vanilla chest. Remember, he has not seen the coordinates spot yet. He has not made that check, so he could possibly, he's almost certainly looking for the Death Necklace here, which is the only outstanding item that he has yet to retrieve. And he knows full well that with this terrible strength score and his HP already 129, he's going to want that Death Necklace. So since he's still here and still has resources, he's made his way toward the last remaining chest in the game, trying to find it. We know, of course, that the Death Necklace is on the coordinate search spot. So Diabetes has picked up that vanilla chest. Looks like it was an herb, as there was nothing present. So he knows what he has to do if he needs the Death Necklace. He's got a couple of search tiles that he still needs to examine. Raigai now in Zone 2 of his dive. So far hasn't had to expend anything in the way of magic points, so he's in pretty good shape here. Raigai now already into the third zone of Charlock, the U-shaped room, then one more small corridor, and he'll have made his way to the final basement. He'll have to fish Erdrick's sword out of the treasury, but at that point, he will be ready to go. He'll go fight the Dragon Lord and see if he can finish this seed off. Trying to bring this one, it's been a relatively challenging seed, but he's going to attempt to finish this inside of the 2-hour mark. So Ryguy, equipped with his sword, sitting currently on 126 attack power, but he will use the Death Necklace to boost that to 136. Means on average, he'll require 12 attacks. His damage range will be from 9 to 18 against Dragon Lord 2. So he's in pretty good shape here if he manages to maintain all of his resources, and even if he's forced to spend a Healmore or two. Still a favorite to win the fight. Diabetes, since he still has resources, is on his way to check out this spike tile. It looks like both of our racers on stream are going to get there at roughly the same time, as long as things are equal, but Diabetes has got to get past this Armor Knight first. It's the first time, I think, one of the first times we've seen those in this bottom zone here. So the runners have been fortunate not to see more Armored Knights in Zone 3. Blue Dragon spike tile. So far, Ryguy getting all attacks, so also fortuitous here. And he's going to take it out without having to spend any resources, so he's going to be able to heal up, and he'll be in really good shape for this Dragon Lord fight. Barring something unexpected or a mistake, should be able to handle the Dragon Lord fight on this pass, and is still in contention for first overall in this seed. Remaining competitors otherwise being Smashy and DK9146. No one has completed the seed to this juncture. So Ryguy playing for first place here as he takes on the Dragon Lord at 1 hour 55 minutes. He's going to go to his stockpile of herbs to try to buy as much hit points as he possibly can before taking out DL1. Manages to accomplish that, and we'll go on to this fight, on maximum possible HP, opening with an 11. (17) puts him at 28. We can count along. 16. Ryguy probably really doesn't need to. He is virtually guaranteed to win this fight, barring a mismenu. 11 more takes us to 55. (12) damage. So the rolls haven't been great so far. A little bit below average, but still nothing to be concerned about to this point. That 16 bumps up to 83. At 10, just about a minimum roll there. So now 93 damage done over the course of 7 swings. Got 17 there though, so we're now on 110. Still looking very good. 12 damage, 122. Good roll there, that's 140. And that'll just about do it. Should only be a couple more swings here. Dragon Lord, of course, can have between 150 and 165 HP. And as Ryguy just did 15, that puts him at 155, so we know he's got at least that much. But that 13 will get the job done. Everybody get your GGs out in chat for Ryguy. He is going to wrap this one up, and he has finished with an official SRL time forthcoming here. 158.08. Very well played seed. Well done to Ryguy. Leveraged a lot of really good opportunities for grinding there in this seed, and brought this one across the finish line in under 2 hours, which was looking practically impossible just about half an hour ago as the strength just continued to trickle in. But he's done some really good work here to finish this one off and take home first place. Diabetes is still on the hunt for the Death Necklace, so he's going to grab the coordinates. We'll see, he'll likely decide to count this out, and will be rewarded with the Death Necklace once he finally gets there. Yep, he's embarked upon his count, so he's headed toward the Death Necklace as we speak. Just again, we've invited Ragai in for an interview, but as we watch Diabetes count this out here, I just want to thank everybody for stopping by tonight. I want to give a special thanks to our restreamer Sinbu9 and our tracker Kamion Renakai. They've done great work this evening as we've gone through what has proven to be a pretty challenging seed here of Dragon Warrior Randomizer. Diabetes is on the right track here. It requires counting around several bodies of water to get to the correct coordinates. But he is on track. Actually, I believe the search spot was on this peninsula that we're seeing just off screen here to the northeast. Or at least that we're seeing part of off screen here to the northeast. And it looks like he might be going back a little bit to try to pick this up again and go across that bridge instead. Yeah, he's sussed it out. I think he's just... Yep, there he goes. So now Diabetes also has the Death Necklace. But he is now in the unenviable position, just as Ragai was earlier, of trying to figure out where exactly he's going to grind. Now, the difference is, Diabetes does have Erdrick Swords, so he's got a little bit more attack power. And we know that Hurtmore is coming on the next level, so he just has a little bit more work to do. And then he'll be putting himself in position to grind a little faster as well. DK9146, one of the participants in this race, has finished in second place with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 2 minutes on the dot. And with that, Smashy has noped out. So we are... Diabetes is actually the only active racer left in this one. And we are joined now in the booth by our victor in today's race. It's Ragai 3745. It's fine, I can talk. I've been doing it for like 2 hours and nothing has gone wrong.
Oh, hey, Archfield, thanks for the GG. You've been doing this seed on your own? What have you... That's like 2 hours of grinding.
Oh, you know, it's, there were a lot of... I'll put it this way. There are a lot of interesting grind choices, right? Why don't you take us through kind of your thought process in that middle game? The strength was just terrible for most of the seed.
I mean, Metal Slimes couldn't run from us on level 8. I was so proud of myself for, like, doing Metal Slime grind until I saw them literally everywhere.
It's true, they were in a lot of places. I thought it was a really great play on your part to wait to take, I believe that was level 9, until you had killed that last Metal Slime. Because that meant that one couldn't run away, but then you picked up enough strength for the next level so that it pushed you over that threshold.
Yeah, I saw walking back, I was like 5 away from the next level, and I was like, well, this is a good time to kill a Metal Slime. I don't want to kill anything else. But yeah, Metal Slimes were pretty much everywhere, and I don't know, I was glad I ended up doing that gold grind. I wasn't sure I wanted a gold grind, because we had pretty good agility, but getting that silver shield made wizards pretty easy to kill, so I just kind of settled into that nice little zone with the wizards, Magiwyverns, and Metal Slimes, and just grinded for 2 hours.
Yeah, it seemed like you probably weren't going to do the gold grind just based on the way things were unfolding. It looked like you were looking pretty desperately for a large shield, and it just kind of settled on that once you finally found one. So I was curious, when you decided to kind of go back and do the gold grind. Was it the flame sword that kind of tipped the scales there?
Yeah, I was searching around for the Erdrick sword, and so I wanted to find like Garen Ham, and I was looking around. Yeah, right, for the large shield exactly. Where's Tablet? Where's Bonus Cave? Once I realized Erdrick's was in Sharlock, I was like, well, looks like I need the flame sword. Let's grab the silver while we're at it.
Yeah, and as you said, that turned out to be a very fortuitous decision because that allowed you to defense break some things that you might not have been otherwise for that kind of middle to late game grind portion.
Yeah, it definitely it made the wizards a lot easier. I don't think I was defense breaking at first, but they were doing very little damage. And then yeah, Magi Wyverns and things like that just was able to slash them.
So when it came time and you picked up Hurtmore, I believe that was level 15. Was there any thought in your mind of trying to find a grind elsewhere, or was it basically just going to be Armor Knights from you, even though they have that Dragon?
Yeah, I just figured that was probably the best. I hadn't really seen anything other than that Wizard Zone. And Armored Axe Knights had the breath as well. So I figured like we had outside and Cantland was close enough to swamp. It was gonna be slow. I had to go a couple times, but refreshed a bunch of times. But I figured the guarantee.
It totally makes sense. I want to kind of go back to the beginning there. You had the 2 key start, and you could take a gold grind right away. What were your thoughts kind of as far as that opening goes? Because we saw Diabetes actually take an entirely different route. He opted to do an early gold grind. He saved, and then he did a second file in order to check the basement, so I thought that was pretty interesting. Did you have any thoughts of doing anything differently in that opening?
I mean, it was sort of classic, like, let's look around throne room. I knew I could do a gold grind, but I didn't know what was around or what was there. So, I don't know. Harp, we didn't really need right away. There was a torch, which I knew had hurt, and I was kind of tempted to grab that because we had 4 strength and some gold. But I thought holding on the key was really important. And if I could muster up, since the gold was in there, if I could muster up 80 gold, or 86 or whatever it is, I could just get full keys. And it turned out I eventually found Mountain Cave, so I knew I could just do easy gold grind whenever I wanted to. But I kind of, after I reset, I kind of wandered around a little bit, looked for towns, didn't see anything. When I saw that red slime, I was like, oh, well, I just need 3 of these guys, so sure, I'll just get level 2 that way.
Absolutely, and it worked out really well. Diabetes wasn't really able to save any of his starting gold. He grinded up into the mid 30,000s and wasn't able to hang on to it, just no towns close enough. And then because he used his key, it took a long time into the seed for him to actually locate Remolder, so that was a pretty big setback. The experience and most of the exploration was on equal footing, probably about an hour 15 in, at least on stream. But the keys turned out to be a big deal. Saving that opening key, I think, was pretty big.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of odd. As it turned out, the keys were kind of useless because there's nothing in the back of Garenham and nothing in Remolder, I don't think. I guess it got you coordinates to the Death Necklace, but that wasn't anything you needed till the end. So it was kind of funny that you didn't really end up needing them. But yeah, when I saw where Remolder was, I just figured it would have taken me forever to get keys back. So I was kind of glad I saved those keys.
Yeah, I mean, of course you can't know what's going to be out there before you make the decision, so holding on to the key was useful. It also allowed you to clear the grave the first pass, whereas Diabetes, because he was still looking for the sword and the necklace, he had to go back and clear bottom 2. So that made a difference as well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I had to get my, what was it down there? Like a cursed belt and a fairy water.
Cursed belt and fairy water, right.
Yeah, again, it was kind of funny. Like, there's no way we could have known, but keys were pretty much not needed until the very, very end of the seed. But
yeah, so you can you just take what you get there. So, do you have any other things that you thought were interesting you wanted to point out, or anything you wanted to talk about so far as the seed?
I mean, I don't quite get what happened in Sharlock. I think I first ran from like 4 Armored Knights with Dragonlord breath. That never happens. Then the blue dragon on the spike tile decided he wasn't interested in his breath, so I'm very confused. That was like the luckiest Sharlock I've ever seen, which was kind of nice because I had a bunch of HP, but I don't think it was didn't have that many resources. So, thank you.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. We noted that the blue dragon just decided to attack for a change.
Yeah, I kind of rolled my eyes. I was like, great, there goes a heal more or two, and he's just like, attack, attack, attack. And it's like, oh, I mean, there goes an herb, apparently.
Yes, very unexpected given what we'd seen to that point in the seed.
Yeah, I think the one in Hawksness was just excited to fire breath me all day long, but he didn't tell his little friend about that, I guess.
Yeah, maybe just did not get the memo. People still send memos, right?
I mean, carbon copy is a thing. I mean, electronic thing, but it's a thing.
Alright, so Diabetes is still on the hunt here. I think he went into the grave expecting that perhaps he had gone into Swamp Cave, and just made a small mistake there. So yeah, he's back into Swamp now. He is walking through it, so it looks like he's going to opt for the same route now that he has hurt more that Ragai did, perhaps, and go after that Armor Knight spike tile.
Oh yeah, also a little question. I assume everyone went on 17? I was kind of iffy because I knew everyone had everything in Charlock had DL2 breath, but I'm assuming everyone went 7.
Well, I don't have eyes on DK, and he's actually the only other person who finished. So that's kind of yet to be determined. If DK's around, he might let us know. Smashy, I believe, went on. Yeah, he's letting us know now. He tried on 17, but unfortunately he got bopped. He was letting us know before the spike tile got bashed by a blue dragon ambush twice, and ended up forfeiting out of this one.
Yeah, the ridiculous amount of Charlock enemies that could kill you was very scary. Almost made me want to go to 18, but 18 was really far away. Oh yeah, Smashy. I was super tempted to put the Death Necklace on, but I wanted all that HP for back attack, Fire Breath stuff.
I believe that Remolder zone, that's the same zone. It had the Metal Slimes and the Wizards. I can't quite recall if I actually even saw many enemy pulls from outside that zone, so I'd be interested, Smashy, if you let us know what else was in that zone. Because I think the grind choices at the end there, as you kind of, before you got hurt more, were pretty interesting. Okay, yes, so that sounds like actually roughly the same zone that Ragai was grinding in. So far as the Magiwyvern, if that's the Magiwyvern, Wizard, Golem, Metal Slime group. Except I think Ragai was grinding that in a different place. Was because Swamp Cave wasn't that close to Remolder, was it? Or am I misremembering the map? It's hard to track when you're just commenting.
No, Swamp was over by Grave, whatchamacallit. Remolder was up by Charlock, a little to the northwest. Yeah, I had a zone that had, it sounds very similar. I had Magiwyverns, Wizards, Metal Slimes, but then it was just Warlocks and Drakies or some other whatever in there.
Alright, so Diabetes is locked into this Armored Knight grind now. Only needs, oh, let's see, 3 or 4 more to get to level 16. At which point he will likely make the same decision that others have reported, and that we saw Raigai make, which is that probably level 17 is required.
Oh yeah, but seeing that 20 power on 16, so tempting.
Really, you just kind of want the seed to be over at that point, right?
Pretty much. I mean, honestly, it wasn't all that close, but it was really tempting to try to find a way to make it work.
Yeah, exactly. I thought about the... because we were... some discussion had taken place the other night after a seed, that there was some very low strength. And the fairy water works on DL2. So in certain circumstances, you can use that to kind of boost your damage output. And I don't remember what the attack power was. I think it was 131 on that level. So off the top of my head, I don't know if that would actually have been an advantage or not.
Wait, the fairy water works on DL2?
It's true.
The fairy water just casts hurt, doesn't it? It's not a 1 in 16?
No, it will land all of the time, I believe. As far as I know in testing, that's what I've seen so far. So that's one of the things we discussed after a seed last night, where we had, I don't know, there was 140 magic points and like literally 170 hit points. And we realized after the fact that you could take some fairy water into the fight and actually get that done.
Wait, but I was playing, like, throwing torches and fairy waters at metal slimes because I was bored, and the fairy water didn't hit the metal slime.
The metal slime, I believe, behaves differently. It's still a coin flip when you use the torch or the fairy water. If someone out there knows better, they can feel free to correct me, but it's in my experience to this point, and as far as what I've seen in the Discord at least, I believe that's the case.
Wow, that's weird. So the fairy water is not guaranteed to land on metal slimes, but it's guaranteed to land on DL2?
Yeah, isn't that fun?
This is some magical water.
Good stuff. Fairy water does 8 to 16. I believe the torches do 6 to 9. The torches, I believe, also will work on DL2, but of course they're usually not as advantageous because of the damage disparity.
Kinda just want to kill DL2 with a fairy water or torch now.
I know, right? It's been, I know at least somebody's done it. I don't remember who off the top of my head. I don't want to guess. I think it might have been High Spirits at least did one of those.
Oh, is Diabetes gonna try to make 16 work?
This will be interesting. I think he might. Speculatively, he's likely a heal more short. There's not much opportunity for doubles even on 90 defense because the HP just isn't going to be quite high enough. But it could be possible. You do have to get pretty lucky on the way down. You can't afford to spend any resources on the dive on 16. So he's going to have to get to the Dragon Lord without using any heal mores, really.
Or he's taking fights. Maybe he's trying to get 17 on the way down, possibly?
Possibly. There are a few squishy enemies, but for the most part you've got things like this golem that just are going to be kind of unkind. You've got the Armored Knights as well. So I think werewolves are really the only thing off the top of my head that I can recall that would be at all advantageous to fight on the way down Charlock.
Oh yeah, has he been in there though? Because I mean, I remember it was nasty, but maybe he's hoping there's stuff to kill.
He actually has scouted it pretty thoroughly because he not only went for a sword dive, I think on level 12 or 13, but he also checked the vanilla chest hoping to find the death necklace. So he's been all up and down Charlock at this point. But yeah, this is an interesting play. He's choosing to kind of pick on the enemies that he can fight, but I think based on what we've seen from the zones, they're going to be kind of few and far between. I don't know that he's actually going to have an opportunity to get level 17 experience on this dive on the way down.
Yeah, I don't know. I was was kind of dissuaded by this. Like, first of all, everything has DL2 breath, it feels like, but also that Armored Knight's still pretty quick.
Exactly. The agility is good, but not outrageous to the point where you'd consider yourself. I would say you'd consider yourself fortunate since the Armored Knights are in every zone to get to the basement without using a heal more, which of course happened for you. So it is possible, but you just you have to get pretty lucky that way.
Oh gosh, the Armored Knights were in the second zone also? I think I only saw them in the first and last. Jeez.
For what it's worth, I only saw them in the first and last until just now, so there you go. That's actually two that I've seen in Zone 2 now. So not quite getting the Charlock luck, and this Dragonlord 2 Breath is unfortunately going to send Diabetus back to Tandagel. So didn't quite make it happen on this dive. We'll see if he decides to go back or if he decides to take level 17 elsewhere.
This is a fun question. How many metal slimes do you suppose he's repelled away in this walk? Like 5?
Based on the rate at which metal slime encounters seem to be happening, and the fact that they seemed to be in practically every zone, yeah, that seems about right. So to answer Brian's question in chat, yes, strength was really, really, really terrible up through, well, basically the entire seed, but really, 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 really terrible through level 9, at which point they finally gained more than 20 strength. So it was bad. It did make the metal slimes tempting targets though, so without that particular leverage, the opening of this seed, I mean, can you even imagine, Ragai, what this would be like if the metal slimes weren't?
I mean, my recollection of this seed was pretty much like we were killing metal slimes for the first about half hour, and I was actually hoping on level 9 we didn't get 5 power because I wanted to kill more metal slimes. Pretty much as soon as I hit level 9, I think the experience basically stopped. It was really hard to get experience at 9, so no, I could not imagine what would have happened if we had a little more.
Probably just still out there trying to hurt race Druid Lords, I guess? I don't even know. Like, the two of the mid-game enemies that you would normally hurt race, the Wolf Lord and the Druid Lord, both had the heal, so it wasn't even advantageous to try to do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to be fair, we did have Hurt. Thank goodness Hurt showed up on level 2. And, we had a lot of HP, so we could hurt race a lot of things. But yeah, I got into some hurt heal battles with Wolf Lord just out of stubbornness, and it didn't go.
I also saw a few, during the grind, there were a few fairy water and torch checks at some metal slimes too, which I assume was just kind of testing the waters there, so to speak.
That was just boredom. I was like, ooh, let's chuck one of these at him. I liked the one that was the torch and the excellent move. That was kind of cool.
Yes, I was a fan of that one. That was a good one.
I mean, a little part of me wanted to go buy a whole bunch of torches and just chuck them at metal slimes, but I kind of felt like I probably shouldn't waste the time. Yep, Brian, everyone knows that when Healy does 1 damage, some stuff's about to go down right after that. Healy, 1 damage or minute.
Earlier in the seed, I don't quite recall who it was, but there was at least there was an observer who had mentioned that at some point you were picking up about 1 strength point every 2 minutes. It's not exactly what you're looking for, really.
Yeah, I was impressed that on level 8, our strength was less than double our level. Like, 15 strength at level 8 was... I've never seen anything that bad.
yes, just... I've already said enough times during the course of commentary that it was really bad, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. So Diabetes is heading back for the Armored Knight. He doesn't have too much more work to do to pick up level 17, at which point we can expect that he will try to make his dive. Next level, of course, coming up at 12,000 experience. At this point, I believe only 4 Armored Knights away. Let's see, 600 experience, yeah, that seems right. Let's just say it's 4, and if I'm wrong, nobody will notice anyway, right? Sure, okay.
Just kill a Drakey out on this tile above, and you'll be fine. I will say that made this grind a little more tolerable. When you stepped off the spike tile, you could find like a Druid Lord or some sort of green dragon, just pick up a cheap 150 or 53 or something. That was
That can be nice, yeah, if you're just kind of walking back and forth and then all of a sudden you're kind of in this not-so-great grind and you go, oh, phew, here's a little bit of a break and some easy experience. Alright, so Diabetes has scooped level 17. He's going to see he's got what he needs to make this work. And he is, in fact, going to make a dash right out of Swamp Cave. Likely going to go heal and buy any additional herbs that he might need and make his first honest-to-goodness Charlock attempt. That will likely have a chance of succeeding, provided that Charlock itself is kind enough to him to let him get to the Dragon Lord with the resources he needs.
so quite the seed when 2.5 hours in level 17 is still not enough to pretty much guarantee you victory.
Yeah, you know you've stumbled into some trouble when you've got a pretty clear go level, and he knows what Charlock's like. He's already taken 1 death on level 16, and he was in Charlock a lot on his sword dive, so he knows what he's in for. He knows that even though he's got what he needs to beat the Dragon Lord, that doesn't necessarily mean he's got what he needs to beat Charlock. All of that will come down to a little bit of RNG. Those Armored Knights are the main obstacle, so the fewer of those he sees, the better.
And as Simbu pointed out, the 16 MP on this 17 was really important. He probably could afford to burn a heal more if he really, really, really had.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you would think that you would probably, in most cases, only need to keep around maybe 80 MP to be safe. That does mean that your DL1 has to go well and that you're not going to get back attacked. Of course, you want to keep as much of that MP as you can, but it should be doable in that range, so he can probably spare a heal more if he has to. The high HP on the dive does help.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. I would obviously rather have more heal mores, but you could probably make a go for it on 80. I mean, if you're down there, you'd try for sure, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If you're just joining us, we are almost 2.5 hours into what turned out to be a pretty good slog of a seed here for the Dragon Warrior Randomizer Wednesday Weekly. I'm Archfield Monk, our restreamer Simbu9, our tracker has been Kemion Renekai. I'm actually joined in the booth right now by the racer who was victorious in the Seed Rai Guy. And we are observing right now as Diabetes II makes his Charlock dive on level 17. Provided he makes it to the Dragon Lord with enough resources, he should be in pretty good shape to finish it out on this dive. But he's got some difficult sledding to go here. Armored Knights, Blue Dragons, and Golems all in this zone, and all of them have Dragon Lord 2 Breath. Hopefully they won't be too pesky. Still has a couple more floors to go until he reaches the bottom basement.
Ooh, and just so you get the full effect of how awesome this seed is, don't forget, I don't know if they're in that middle zone, but Axe Knights are floating around somewhere, and they can pop you with that in DL2 Breath too, just because randomizer.
Oh really? We didn't see that many of the Axe Knights, so...
I think I saw one, he promptly DL2 Breath me, or maybe hurt more me or something.
I think it might have been hurt more. I think I now vaguely recall this. Just got kind of lost in the other enemies. The Axe Knight, I don't think we saw much of in Charlock.
Yeah, I thought I saw one early and he did something mean to me, and I might have saw one in here, but I ran from him quick. But that's just like little cherry on top of Randomizer's evil cake.
evil cake.
It's delicious, but it's oh so evil.
That's how they get you. Diabetes has reached the bottom floor, but he is now trying to get away from this Armored Knight and just runs smack into another one for his efforts, but thankfully gets away from that one as well. Unfortunately gets run blocked by that Golem, because Charlock. So almost there. Does have the Blue Dragon Spike tile to contend with, which is no small matter. The Blue Dragon, of course, has Dragon Lord 2 Breath as well. And that was an opening dodge. That's even worse. You never want to see that. But a good strike there on the second swing, 41 damage. So put him in good range to take it out in 3 swings. Might not even need to use a heal more here. And he does. That swing of 40. Doing some good work there with Erdrick's Sword on 126 attack power. Those are some pretty good swings. So Diabetes is going to get to walk up to the Dragon Lord here, provided he doesn't get it interrupted by anything severe on the way there. He's going to be in really good shape on full resources. He's going to do a quick stat menu check. And then use an herb and get himself declared a fool by the Dragon Lord.
Whoa, wait, no Death Necklace?
No Death Necklace. This is interesting. Lately, it has become a little bit more prominent to use the Death Necklace during the DL1 fight. But no such case here. He takes out DL1, and this is... wow, this is kind of out of range actually on 126.
Yeah, wait, he still got that double, right? Did he still get the opening double?
He did get the double. However, yeah, he will be getting plenty of doubles here. So this is interesting. 126 attack power, that means his damage range is around 6.5 to 13. You would think the Death Necklace would be a slightly better outcome. But this is possible. He's just got to get the good doubles here.
Yeah, I think Death Necklace was pretty free there, but if he gets, I think, 3 doubles, maybe 2, he can make it happen, so probably still.
Yeah, definitely not what I was expecting, but still within range. Gotta get the good heal mores and the good rolls there. There were a couple 6s in a row. Unfortunately, I was caught and off guard enough that I have not been counting. He is getting plenty of strikes in. Just needs to continue getting some good heal mores and some opportune Dragon Lord 2 melees so that he can land some doubles. Here, pulling a double. When it didn't seem quite likely, he was sitting in the 70s on HP, but a weak melee there opened the opportunity. Not a great heal more there. Another 9. Gonna have to heal after this swing. So 4 heal mores left, at the very minimum 5 swings. And a 12 is very welcome. Another 12. We'll have to heal here. 2 heal mores remain. Another slightly higher than average swing. Gonna be kind of close here, I think. Not many doubles in this second half of the fight. That's the last heal more. Could get a closing triple here and might need it. No, there he goes. Took care of business with probably 2 swings left. So Diabetes II getting the job done without the death necklace. So get your GGs out in chat for Diabetes II. He'll be finishing up here with his dot done shortly. And he does come in 3rd place in what was kind of a bloodbath of a seed. An official SRL time of 2 hours, 35 minutes, 56 seconds. So well done to Diabetes II for seeing this one out.
Wow, yeah, GG's. I didn't think that was going to work with the death necklace, but that was actually fairly comfortable.
Yeah, that wasn't so bad. At first glance, didn't really think it was there, but between the defense and the hit points, that gives you a pretty good chance for a lot of double attacks, and he got as many as he needed to get that job done. So we're going to hang in to speak to Diabetes here at the end of this one just briefly to close this one out. In the meantime, please do follow our great restreaming and tracking team for this one. Sinbu9 stepping in for the restream on this one, and Camion Renikai, our tracker. Please also do follow the runners that you saw on stream here to our Rye Guy, our Victorious Racer, and Diabetes II. And Diabetes right now joining us in the commentary booth. GG Diabetes for seeing that one out. What a seed. My goodness. So while we wait to hear from Diabetes here, I am going to take a moment to again plug the Dragon Warrior Randomizer Discord. If you want to find out more about this randomizer or any of the Dragon Warrior randomizers, 1, 2, 3, or 4, you can stop by there. And that link is in chat. We also have the League coming up at the beginning of February. If you want some more information on that, do pop over to the Discord, but that document also right now in chat. So feel free to check those out. Yes. Some seeds are really good advertisements for Dragon Warrior Randomizer. And some seeds are slightly different and interesting.
I mean, to be fair, I probably killed more metal slimes in this seed than in all of my other seeds combined.
I mean, that is one potential bonus. So we'll see. I apologize, everyone. It looks like we've got some Discord issues going on here. We're trying to get this squared away. So Diabetes, if you're there and can try tapping in, let.
Hey there. Sorry about that. A little bit of Discord issues. My bad.
No worries. It's just Discord being Discord. We know how this goes. So again, GG for finishing that one out. Just kind of give us your overview. That was really incredible.
Yeah, it was not exactly what I was, expecting going in. It probably isn't what anybody expects. Starting off with 4 strength is always kind of a rough go. You know that if there's no slimes available in the first zone, then you're kind of in trouble. Fortunately, I did check the treasury, saw that there were a bunch of torches for me to grab there with a glitched grind. So I did do that, but man, we didn't gain any strength for like 15 levels. That did not make it easy.
Oh, absolutely, and especially given the fact that Erdrick's sword was in Charlock, and a relatively difficult Charlock as it was, that just made things all the worse for a seed like this one, where you just don't have any strength.
Yeah, definitely. I think the one thing that I probably should have done a lot earlier than I did was once I found the mountain cave, and then Breck later that had, flame sword, had I think full plate and silver shield, was to just go ahead and gold grind and pick up everything. I had enough resources that I could get there, without dying horribly on the way. And I didn't do it for like at least a half hour, 45 minutes. So I was using hurt on literally everything. I don't know how much that cost, but it probably cost some. The other big thing that I didn't find until, I don't remember, 25, 30 minutes in, was that there were metal slimes in the desert just to the south of the starting zone. So instead of spending 20 minutes, using hurt on, whatever zone 0, zone 1 enemies that I found, it probably would have been nice to just pick up 3 or 4 metal slimes and call it a day, since, gosh, we didn't pick up any strength for I think it was like level 6 or level 7 before we had enough strength that metal slimes could even run.
It was actually level 9.
Oh boy. You're right, because that was the 10 strength level. Once I did find them, I think I took like 3 or 4. That was like the best 4 minutes of the entire seed. The other 2.5 hours was just, I don't know what that was.
For sure. Yeah, it was actually really unfortunate that you didn't find your first metal slime until pretty late, and that actually, I would say, just from observing in the race, that probably accounted for a lot of the time differential there, because Ryguy was actually found his first metal slime. It was the same zone in the second floor of Mountain Cave as there was in that desert outside of Mountain Cave, so the metal slimes were there too, and he actually found that first one there and was able to start grinding those metal slimes relatively early.
Yeah, I kind of figured something like that was going to happen, and especially since they seem to be all over the map on top of it. I mean, just a random excellent move here or there picks you up significantly more XP than you're able to get in any other battles. And since every battle took forever with either, a dozen swings or a bunch of hurts, anything like that was going to be beneficial. So kudos to Ryguy for early exploration, because that seems to be at least a partial key to getting at least a reasonable 2-hour time in this otherwise pretty unfavorable seed.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes the zone pulls are just better or worse. There can be a metal slime in the zone you've walked back and forth through a bunch of times, and then you just don't catch one until, much later in the.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's just kind of how the game goes. That's rando for you. The other thing was just all the spike tiles were all enemies that were also unfavorable. Blue Dragons, I think, was in Hawksness with DL2 Breath. You had Armored Knights in the Swamp Caves, also with DL2 Breath. And then the Blue Dragons turn out to have healing on top of it. So even when you think it's like, you know what, War of Attrition, I got heal more. I'm just gonna have like 8 hurt spells. We're gonna do this. And you just then that heal spell comes up and you just can't. So not a lot of options, really. I think that was probably the most frustrating thing on my end. I just didn't really know what to do at any given point at some point.
Yeah, it's just difficult to find a way forward when the statistics are as bad as they are, and all of your sort of key locations are pretty far away. The map was not challenging in the sense that there wasn't a lot of enemies that could kind of block your progress, but just exploring was the map itself was spread out.
Yeah, absolutely. There was really only one narrow passage that went down south from the starting area, and then it just kind of opened up. There wasn't much of anything on the second continent, with the exception of Cantlin? Well, Cantlin and Cole, I guess, but Cantlin being, I guess, one step south of, or one. You couldn't see it unless you were like one tile south of the cave. I think I went there 3 times before I went south, so found Cantlin at the very end. Unfortunately, not that it really mattered because, you know, everything else was already found at that point.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess I'll just put the question to both of you. Do you have anything else that you want to mention about the seed? We'll probably start to wrap things up here about the seed, or really, I guess, even more broadly, the alpha of the randomizer in particular, just sort of things that you've noticed or things that you think are different as opposed to the previous version in the sense of how you kind of go about the seed.
I mean, I'll just chip in with one thing. I think it's very interesting that you can have the armor out on the out in a chest now. It used to be that you got to do some sort of search spot. Maybe you get to Cole for some early armor, but otherwise you got to break into Cantlin with the key or kill the Hawksnest Spike till you get the armor. And now you could just, do what I did and just stumble down to Grave and go, hey, look, it's a box and oh, some armor, cool.
I would have to second that, and also I didn't know you were still in the chat here, Ryguy. GG's. I don't know how you did in 2 hours, but kudos to you. I think definitely what Ryguy said, finding the armor kind of randomly is a huge bonus when it's not basically only the Hawk or Cole search spot is the only way that you're going to get it without being at least level XYZ and having a lot of resources. The other thing that I've noticed, and I'm sure that this is just a small sample size issue, is that I seem to notice that there are more levels that have massive stat gains in the alpha compared to the 2.1 release. I'm not sure why that is. I'm just waiting for that level that has 40 HP or 35 strength or something that I don't remember being as much of a thing happening in the 2.1. But maybe that's just me.
I was actually curious about that too, and I'd be interested to find out if there is any difference in the progression because I kind of noticed and I thought, it's easily could just be confirmation bias, but it just seemed like there was more of that kind of outlier sort of activity where you just get like a really big gain on one level.
Oh man, you two sound like two people who need to play more Chaos. Wake me up when you get 67 HP or something silly like that.
Probably true.
Fair enough. I've certainly not done much of that, being a, I guess, relative newcomer. But hey, you know what? With the upcoming league and some, I guess, light chaos or easy chaos coming, maybe we'll see that 67 HP gain. Maybe a 67 strength gain. I would kind of appreciate that more.
That would be more strength than you had in like the first 14 levels of this seed.
I mean, as far as the stats go, like seriously, I will say it does seem to be they're higher levels, but it definitely seems like I feel like by the time you get to 16 or 17, everything kind of averages out, and you're pretty much where you expect to be anyway. It might just be a pain getting there, like.
I actually kind of agree with that too. It doesn't seem that there's been a change as to where I'm finishing. Again, small number of seeds that I've run on the alpha by comparison, but by 16, 17, you're pretty much ready to go 95% of the time or more. It's just that, I don't know, the range of, 0 to 15 used to be kind of the standard as to where you'd expect stat gains to be. And you just see so many numbers that are 18, 20, 30, 40 even, that I don't remember seeing. So I don't know if there were any tweaks done to any of the variants, but hey, you know what? It's all in good fun anyway. So it just makes the seed a little bit more interesting or fun when you see those big numbers pop up.
Exactly. So I think that's going to be about it for us here on the Restream today. Again, I want to shout out our Restreamer Simbu9 and our tracker Kemi on Renekai. Thank you to everyone for joining us today for this Dragon Warrior Randomizer race. And we will see you all next time. I've been Archshield Monk. Have a great day, everybody.